people to show up.
Not at all.
And if you don't get people showing up, licensed, learning the business, what kind of income are you going to have? A big one or a small one?
Small one.
And then your entire income for the rest of your life will come from you personally producing at the kitchen table. You will never, ever, ever build an override income. And I think most people, once they understand overrides, people like you and me, we wanted an override income.
Right.
We wanted an income that came from a business,
right.
not from our own personal efforts, from our own personal writing business every month. Nothing
right.
wrong with doing that.
Right.
So it's really, I think, a choice we all have to make is, are you here to build a business or are you just here to be a personal producer?
Absolutely. Thank you, bro. Hey, man, we're 2 seconds away. I cannot wait to jump up on stage and introduce you, man. I really appreciate the time together.
Man, this has been a real joy and honor and a lot of fun, and the future is bright, my man. Just so proud of you and what we've done with our company here. But man, I'll tell you, the market, the need is greater than ever, and we got a big cause, a big need out there to fill, and nobody's going to fill it but us. Proud to be your teammate, Mike.
Thanks, bro.
Yes, sir.
Woo!
Well, there you go.
So for me, it fired me up. Number one, that's our guy, right? That's our leader. And then in listening, I felt like it just lined so much perfectly with, you got to make a choice. The choice is, what do you want to do here? Do you want to be, a self-employed person? Or do you want to build a business? Do you want to have a huge override income? And the choice is yours every week, every day, every Tuesday, every Saturday, every big event, every, Monday through Thursday. You have to make a choice of what do you want. And, we look at the screen, and I say this probably every time I talk about this, is you look at the screen and you might see, 25 people looking back at you right now if you're looking at the gallery. And the ideas of those 25, number one, congratulations, you're one of them, right? You're looking back at yourself right now, but the goal is to grow from event to event. So you make a commitment starting off, right? Show up. And then, if I could just get now the person next to me is somebody that I brought here that I invited, right? That I use that technique that Christian just demoed to invite. And I invite to Tuesday and Saturday and Tuesday and Saturday and big event, Tuesday, Saturday, big event. And then I got one other person that buys into it, right? And then that one other person gets their one other person, and 3 people, that can just change the world. And then the next thing you know, you have a row. You have a whole row of people that are all on your team. And then you have 25. The whole screen that's staring back to you is on your team that you're empowering every week by utilizing this system, right, to build it for you, right, and work with you to grow. So I just thought it was crazy because I watched all these videos, and then it loops me around, and who comes back to the person is like the most perfect video for the topic today. And it's of course our fearless leader, Christian, right? So why not hear from them? So I'm excited. I'm fired up. I did want to say this. If anybody came on that's here for the first time since we started the video, if you can raise your hand, we are having a separate orientation in the breakout room right now. So is anybody here that is here for the very first time? Because if you are, you would need to go over to that breakout room.
If you've never seen the business overview, yeah.
Mooney?
Nicole, maybe.
Hey, I got kicked out of the Zoom. How do I get back in that breakout room?
Breakout room.
Matt, if you can invite her back in.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay. So anybody else that needs to go into that?
I just sent you an invite, Monique. You should have popped up on your screen.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to go ahead then and jump into the next.
Is Nicole?
Nicole's with me, and she can stay here.
Okay.
Thank you, Ellen.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks,
We're
Beth.
going to go into the next portion. We're going to bring up Shawnda. She's going to cover some, and I want to tell you about Shawnda, right? I remember the first day I ever saw Shawnda coming in. It was a Monday managers meeting. It was like her first month licensed. And I find out that she's a teacher, right? She's a waitress. And I think she had her own business doing like party stuff, right? So she was a busy woman. And I think she did helped like 8 or 9 families her first month license. I don't recall the exact numbers, but I just remember there sitting like, oh my God, what a stud. I felt like such a dud because she's a person, she was so busy, right? And I'm bringing this up because you guys might have people that you think, man, they're so busy. right? They won't do this, but my goodness, what if that person, Shawnda, busy people get things done. She's always been a person of action. So pay attention. She's going to bring you guys, some pearls. So welcome up, Shawnda Patterson.
Thank you so much, Allison. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's true. They say that busy people get things done. Well, that's because they got to figure out how to get it done, right? Busy people, you don't want someone that just has all the time in the world, right? Because then usually that's an indicator of something, right? It usually indicates a little motivation. So you do want people who are busy and need to find a way to fit it in. And I remember finding a way to fit it in, and as I became more competent and began to help more families and make more income, I was able to let things go. I was able to stop waitressing and stop tutoring and doing all of these different things just because I was able to earn the income here in a shorter period of time and not have to spend as much time. So it gave me more income and more time, right? So so thanks for that. And it's been a great journey, and so I'm excited. But I want to start by just saying that in our Monday through Thursday meetings there was an idea brought up for us to send Christian some well wishes. If you follow Christian on Facebook, you know that he has had some miraculous numbers shifting as far as with everything that's going on um, with everything. And so we just want to send him some love. And so we've come up with this idea to create a compilation video of anyone who wants to contribute, and you can record a video, show some love, and we can send it to Christian. Now, as we know, we have a big event coming up on Saturday, right? So get some people there, but Christian is coming. So this will be the first time we get to see Christian in a while. So we would love to get this video over to him before Saturday. So the cutoff for the video is on Thursday. Now, many people have already contributed to that video. If you have, thank you so much. If you have not received a link asking you to contribute and you would like to, do me a favor and at some point message me today while we're in training your email address. And if you message me your email address, I'll be sure to get it over to you. And it will say that Shawnda Patterson is requesting that you join a group video, is what it will say when you open up your email. Okay. So if you are a leader and you have people in your organization that may want to contribute, do me a favor and send their email addresses as well, because we want to get this done as soon as possible in order to be able to get it to him. Now, I will let you know it may be easier to do. You can do it on your computer, but it may be easier to do on your cell. So you may want to use an email that you can access from your cell, because then you click on it, you download the app, you can record the video right from your phone. Makes it a lot simpler. Okay. So do me a favor. Don't forget, if you'd like to be a part of it, please, send me your email address. And for the leaders who agreed to help out with the cause, please don't forget to send me that as well. Yeah, so is there a time limit? The app does all of that for you. When you click on the video, it'll tell you how long you have. It won't let you ramble on too long, okay? And it's personal. So keep in mind that this video is going to go directly from you to the app. I'm not going to watch it. The only person that's going to watch it is Christian. So if you have something you need to say to him, some thanks, anything that you like to say, feel free to say it, because no one else is going to be able to hear it. Okay. All right. So
I love your head.
Thank you. So I get the pleasure of just talking a little bit about something that I think is becoming, a really big deal. And it's because most people nowadays, right, are contributing to their retirement accounts through work. And it's because most of the time now employers make you, right? So it's like a mandatory contribution. But unfortunately, many people don't understand their retirement accounts through work. And there's this rising wave of something called target date funds. Anybody that's working ever encounter these target date funds?
Yes.
Yes, all the time.
So, yeah, all the time, right? And so we're going to talk about them a little bit today, and why it's important that even if someone already has a 401k and things like that, or even, a 401k, and why it's important to talk about money that's been left at previous employers because of these target date funds. Okay. So having versus understanding. Just because someone contributes to a 401k doesn't mean they understand it. And it also doesn't mean that they've chosen the best options to reach their retirement goals. One of the reasons why I got involved in our business was because I had no understanding at all of my retirement account. When I got started, I was in the process of buying a house, and I had talked to one of my cousins, and she shared with me that because I was buying a house for the first time, those of us who are licensed now understand you could take money out of your 401k and you don't get a penalty for taking the money out because you're buying a house for the first time. I said, all right, awesome. I made an appointment to go down to state retirement so I could get money out of my account. And when I got there, they told me I had a pension.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, what's that, right? So they
Yeah.
start explaining to me what it is, and I'm like, okay, so you telling me I can't get my money? What's the difference, right? And so they begin to explain it to me a little bit further, and it really dawned on me that I had no idea where my
Yeah.
money was going.
Hmm.
Right. And there are so many people who work every day. Maybe are educated. They maybe love their job, but they don't understand where their money is going. Right. And so let's talk about what are target date funds. So target date funds are investment funds that automatically adjust the asset allocation. So meaning a mix of stocks, bonds, and other investments to become more conservative as the investor approaches their target retirement date. Now, this is absolutely the best thing. For most people, as you're nearing your retirement years, it's a good idea to take a look and reallocate your investment portfolio so that it is more conservative. And so why do employers choose target date funds? Well, the first thing is that it simplifies the decision making for employees. They don't have to, and employees don't have to look at the screen like I don't know what I'm choosing, but let me just choose something, eeny, meeny, miny, moe it, right? So it makes it simple decision making. It also encourages participation. So because many people didn't understand investing, they would choose not to participate.
Hmm.
Right. But this makes it easier. I just choose the one, that's automatic, or a lot of times it's automatically chosen for them. It still gives them professional money management. And again, it is diversified. And it automatically reduces risk as time goes on. But what are some challenges for investors? Why is this not always a good idea for someone? Well, the very first reason is that many people start investing later than they should. So, if you may not have started investing in your 401k when you got your first job. Might have been, might be 30, 40 years old, right? And because you started a little later, then you actually need to be invested as aggressively as possible for as long as possible. The second thing is maybe they're not contributing enough. Okay. A lot of times there's a minimum that employers make it mandatory for you to contribute. And just because you are contributing your 2% doesn't mean that that's enough for you to retire. The third thing is they may not be taking full advantage of the company match. Oftentimes company match up to a certain percentage, so we definitely recommend that a person contributes up to their match. Um, and one of the biggest things about the target date funds is they adjust risk too early. So they start making the portfolio more conservative pretty early on. And as a result, it can yield lower returns. In my experience, target date funds average up around 8%. Gordon, what do you say about that? Have you seen some that
No,
usually,
I'd say that's fairly safe.
yeah, they're averaging around 8%, right? So let's take a look at a client who was a referral to me, as from another client. And she has right now 31,000 is sitting in her American funds from her previous employer. And based upon our current portfolio, if you'll notice since inception down here, it's averaged about 8.4%. Okay. So we were able to put together a portfolio through Fidelity that since inception has averaged 12.98.
Almost
And you
13.
might say, yeah, like 13%. That's not, yeah, that's maybe someone thinks that's not a big deal, but let's look at it in numbers. Okay. So if she has $31,921, she's 42 years old. So she's 42, and if she never adds anything else to this money, which she can't, again, because it is with the employer that actually closed down, if she leaves it there for the next 25 years at 8.4%, she'll have about $242,000. Now, some people might say that's not bad. 31,000 to 242,000. It's pretty good,
Yeah.
right? So I think I'm just gonna stay where I am. But my question is always that me people might say, I'm good with leaving it there. I'm good with that. What if you could be better than good?
Yeah.
There was an option for you to be better than good, would you want to explore that option?
Mhm.
Or if it was possible for you to add hundreds of thousands of dollars to your retirement nest egg, would you at least want to explore the possibilities?
Yeah.
Right. And so now taking a look at the portfolio that we put together for her, if she does the exact same amount, add nothing else, 25 years at 12.98, she have almost 700,000.
Mm.
So would you rather have 700,000 or 200,000
I'll
using this?
take the 700. Give me the extra half a mil.
I'll
Give
take
me
the 700 too.
700 all day, right?
Absolutely.
So it is important for us to remember to compare. Okay? You want to offer it to people even if they think they're good. Because in reality, I know I did, and many people are just like I was. They go to school, they work hard, they love their families, but when it comes to actually understanding investing, choosing investments, that's not our area of expertise. I remember choosing my stuff because I looked on the person's paper next to me. Like, what you choose for this thing right here? You put down, okay, let me just put, how do you know that that's the right thing to choose? You don't know, and you don't even know if they know, right?
Shawnda, the lady that answered the phones at the office where I was at is who told me what to choose. Like the one that gave me the paperwork to fill out. That's who gave me my advice.
And do you think that she gave you the best advice?
I don't think she knew any more than anyone else.
It's crazy, right? So, just some motivation that if you know people that work at a job, say, hey, if I just learned something new. If you could do better in your retirement, options, is that something you would want to know? Offer to compare because you can make such a huge difference in the lives of the people that we come across. So that's my part. Thank you so much for giving me a few minutes to share. I get to turn it over to the amazing RVP Gordon Marjoram, who's going to be going over our training today. It ties right in with Allison's video from Christian on the importance of inviting, getting our recruiting up. And so take it away, Gordon. Thank you.
Thanks,
Great job,
Shawnda.
Shawnda.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Shonda. Sorry about hitting record late, Allison. We should have gotten that whole video in there. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you.
Morning.
I had
Good morning.
I want to tie in just real quick before I take over that message of meeting attendance and why it's so important. And I think I'm going to help you a lot. But I had two stories of that scenario happen. One was this last week. I'm helping a gentleman that retired from the FAA, and Shawnda, he's got almost everything in the G fund, in the
No.
TSP G fund. So
Oh man,
he's
that's
earned
terrible,
2% year to date, 2.5% year to
man.
date, and half a million bucks in
That's
there.
terrible,
Fortunately, he doesn't need it to live off of with his retirement, and then they take care for a disabled son. They get paid by the state, but fortunately, he doesn't need the money. We can grow it, but we're moving that all out of the TSP into some better options. And then another one was a young man that works for the Coast Guard over in Baltimore Bay area. They paint boats over there. There's Coast Guard employees, and but this guy is late 20s, and I'm looking at his TSP. He's been with the Coast Guard. I guess maybe he's 30. He's been with the Coast Guard almost a decade now. Started in his 20s, and he paints, gets in these ships, hot gear. And Denise, he's got everything in the G Fund, everything. And I'm like, Jay, what in the world are you thinking? How did you pick this? And he said, all the guys at work, all the old guys at work, the old guys at work. That was it. And I was like, what do you mean by old guy? It's like all the guys coming up on retirement. They told me the G Fund's the way to go. I'm like, dude, certainly not for you. Oh, stop listening to people that are broke and don't know what they're doing. Just because, and the old guys, maybe they're in the G Fund because they're trying to retain their what they've got, but he needs to grow. So anyway,
Because they're old.
they're old, man. Okay, it's one thing to be old in the G fund, but you can't be 20 something in the G fund. That's all.
And so do they automatically put you in the G fund if you don't choose? Because I found so many people, young and old, that's in the G fund. It's
No,
ridiculous.
I think it's a purveying view of government employees that the G fund is like this great answer to a lot of and it's not. It's averaging since inception of 4.5%. So it's not the
Yeah,
place to be.
not really good at all.
They
No,
believe
but
it's
it's
safe.
very, very safe. And
That's
you
what
know,
they
you
say.
get you get that view in these government employees, what's safe, but it's really not safe because it's really exposing them to the inflation that's going to hit them, and they're not even thinking. Nobody's talking to them about inflation and taxation because most of these old guys were pre-tax. Young guys can now do Roth TSP. And if you're young, let me just give you some good advice. Roth
That's
and
right.
do the C fund,
That's right.
but they will only match in non-Roth.
In
That's
the
typical.
non-rock, correct.
So just make sure to take advantage of the C fund. Um, well, guys, I think we kicked off the meeting with a great message. I really
Hey,
just want to add to that.
Gordon, could you just please accentuate? I know Shawnda mentioned it and we mentioned the match, but I find that when I teach people in my team, I actually do it by just using dollars so that they can see that if you put a dollar in, you get a dollar back when you get that match, if you're up to that match. So
Yeah.
every dollar you put in, you're making 100%. That's
Yes.
better than the 12.98.
It is
That's
better. It's
better.
100% return.
So we need to really focus on it in our own self, in our own F&A, that match, max, get up to that match is very critical. You're not going to get anything better than 100% gain on your money.
Yeah.
You're
First place.
not doing the match,
You
you need
crazy.
to do the match.
Yeah. Everywhere. Take the free money. And even if and some employers have, you don't get all the money back. They've got a period of time that's vesting. So you might have an employer that does vesting, not the government. It's 100% of your money in there goes to you. But some employers might take up to 5 years. First year, you get 20% of the match. The second year, 40%. That gets a little deeper, but still always take free money. Always. Even if you're only going to stay there a year and you only get a piece of it because of vesting, it's always good to take the free money. So free money, then Roth, and then maybe back to where there's a low cost contribution option that's higher, and it might be back to your employer. But up to the match, this is normally 6%, and then the remainder go to a Roth. We good? Let's move on. So, power of meeting attendance, probably the most important habit. I got to tell you, when I started in the business, I was a retail manager. I was going all over the place, and it was hard for me to show up because we didn't have Zoom. Zoom has changed the game and should make it easier to grow attendance, but not necessarily if you don't get the right thought process. Okay. I wish we had Zoom 25 years ago when I started. I had to drive to Gaithersburg, and that was difficult as a retail manager. It was like, how do I make the meetings? But they had a conversation with me. Jeff said, look, the only way to get better is to show up. Get around the leaders. Show up. Get around the leaders. You become like the people you hang around, okay? And if you take your five closest friends, they say you can take the net worth or your five closest friends, and you're probably going to land somewhere in that area when you get to that point in your life. So whatever, you become like the people you hang around, and this business is more caught than it is taught. You can teach, but people got to catch the fever. They got to catch the attitudes. They got to catch the leadership. The meeting serves multiple purposes. You become competent by showing up and listening to other people. You become confident because you start learning things and you start going, you know what? I need that. I've been doing the right things. I've been doing the wrong things. That's what I figured out when I was early on. I was like Shawnda. I didn't have a Roth IRA when I got started in the business. They had been around for years, but I didn't have one. My parents set me up with whole life insurance. I thought that was good enough. I didn't know I should be putting money in a Roth IRA. I didn't know the match. I had no clue what my money was in my 401k. I was listening to a guy named Dave up in Chicago. Dave didn't know crap, but I thought he knew something because he knew more than me. Um, confidence, retention. You start getting people to show up, you start retaining people. Because let's say I bring somebody in that was a teacher, I can get them into our meetings, and all of a sudden they meet Shawnda. And they go, wait a second, you got a teacher that's winning here. I go, yeah, we do. Very similar to your background. You might have somebody come in here in their retail and I can relate to them. You might have somebody come in here that's an engineer. You start learning how to retain people because people build networks, they build friendships. And the only way to get free is to have a lot of people in your business that are doing the business when you're not always doing the business. You know, one of the things I heard years ago was, if you looked at the smoothest running motor out there, Jaguar for years had this great smooth running motor because they had a 12 cylinder motor. And the more cylinders, the smoother the motor was running. And if you only have a one cycle motor, they burn out pretty fast. And those are usually used for like, weed eaters or things around your house, one cylinder. And then you get a two cylinder like a motorcycle, gets a little smoother. And then you get a four cylinder motorcycle. And then now a lot of cars are four cylinder these days. They made them very efficient. So the more cylinders, the more things are pumping. And in your business, there's no different. The reason why Christian has freedom right now and he's spending all of his energy working on his cancer and his health is because years ago he focused on showing up, getting better, and getting other people to show up. That was a mistake. I don't even know how I did that. So until you're committed, you won't get others to commit. And whatever it might be, I tell people if you're part-time, can you commit to showing up Tuesday and Saturday? I've had people go, no, I can't do both, but I can do one. I say, that's great. If you can do one, I'll work with you. If I know I can see you every Saturday for an hour at our training, I'm going to make sure that I bring stuff to training that's going to help you. I don't want you to come and spend an hour and not leave without getting better. Or if it's Tuesday, we want to make sure the Tuesday meeting, we're going to put people in front of you to make sure you get better by showing up. And when you commit to that and say, hey, you know what? Every Tuesday, I'm going to be there. Your family doesn't know that. You do have to have a commitment conversation with the people around you that love you. My wife, I told her early on, I said, maybe I'm crazy, but I'm going to show up to every meeting, babe. I was told to show up to every meeting, and it'll accelerate the amount of time it takes for me to learn the business. So it wouldn't take years, it might take months. So I made a commitment to show up. Today, nobody in my family questions me when I leave to come to the office. They expect me to be at a meeting because I bring home the bacon. I bring home the money because I've built a business because I started showing up in the early days when I wasn't making money. But I didn't make excuses. I showed up. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get better every time. And then I'm going to get other people to show up. If you're an S quadrant thinker, and that's ESBI, that's the reminder, employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. The self-employed quadrant thinker is normally selfish. It's about sales. In that video, when we heard it, when we kicked off the meeting, people will sometimes choose an appointment to close business to make money over they will choose to show up to a meeting with their teammates thinking that's the right answer. That is the right answer if you're okay staying in that left quadrant, which is task driven, sales driven. You have to produce, okay? But if you want to get to the right quadrant, the business owner investor, you got to think different, okay? The B quadrant thinker understands, look, I didn't come here to be by myself. I did come here, like Shawnda says, to learn. I was very similar. I came here to learn. I came here because I had gotten ripped off with whole life insurance, didn't understand it, didn't know term was better. And then I realized I had an ES thinking process that had been generated from 33 years of conditioning. And I had to start changing that conditioning and start thinking business owner investor, Denise, business owner investor. And business owner was a rallier. Business owner was the person that said, come to the meeting. Business owner said, show up to the new business. We've got to get together and get things figured out. Okay. So the B quadrant thinker is always understanding it's not about me. It's about a system that I'm learning. And we've got a system where I can tell you there's thousands and thousands of people all across the US, Canada, and Puerto Rico that have changed their thinking and gone from E to S to B to I. But they showed up. If you want to be big, you can't miss meetings. Now, I'm not saying when you start, I'm not telling you that, so get the message right. But I'm telling you long term, if you're here to build a business, you got to show up. And you got to decide, hey, that's what I'm going to do, even if the meeting is boring, even if I got to go, oh my God, Shawnda's going to do the rule of 72 again. Oh my. Or I've got to give it one more time. Yep. There's not that many concepts here, but the concepts that we have are powerful. Like rule of 72, that's a powerful one. That changes people's lives. And you can't get bored with it. You know, the ESBI, you can't get bored with that. You can't get bored with compound interest. You can't get bored with buy term, invest the difference. The concepts are not that many, but when you deliver them and how you deliver them is everything, and not getting bored with the monotony, because every business owner out there has monotony. Monotony. Is that the word? Monotony. It's like the same. It's boring. You know, every McDonald's owner knows it's damn boring in that McDonald's, but it churns out money. Every Chick-fil-A we know is boring, but it churns out money. Those are restaurants. But hey, you when you do taxes, I can't, every tax person I know, they hate, from the new year till like April and doing people's taxes. The people, especially the tax preparer accounts, they don't like it. But it's boring, right? But they do it because it's bread and butter. They make their money. Until your business has a life of its own and you're financially independent, then go do what you want to do. Until you got so much money in investments and real estate, show up, get better. I'll see Ruben occasionally. Ruben's totally financially independent. Hector doesn't have a choice really in the matter. If I'm right, Hector, you need to show up. Ruben might have the option. If you don't know Ruben, Ruben overrides Hector. Ruben's been financially independent as long as you've known him, right, Hector?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what he gets a residual income from his investments that's more than his business, so he's free. So him and his wife Yolanda travel the world and look at their properties. They go all over the place. But until your business has that life, until you have enough money that's passively coming into your house, you should show up. And the only time you make an exception is flowered events. Flowered events. Just think about that for a minute. What are flowered events? Well, hell, I mean, a wedding, that's a flowered event. You can't tell somebody, oh, I'm not coming to your meeting if they're family, right? On a Saturday morning, you go to the wedding. You say, hey, everybody, I'm going to a wedding. People understand that. But if it's, I've got you hear the dumbest things in our business. Oh, I got to help somebody put up decorations for a party that's at 6 o'clock. I'm like, we're talking about 9 to 10. But I can't tell you how many people make excuses. And people are weak, very weak, because they've been told all their lives. They went to school, the teacher said, and the principal said, be here at this time and you get to leave at this time. So that's a learned behavior. And then they go to college and then learned behavior. And then they go to work, it's learned behavior. And then you say, hey,
That's right too.
then you say, hey, we have 2 trainings. We're not going to fire you if you don't show up, but if you don't learn that they're very important and block them in your schedule, you'll never get other people to show up and you'll never get a big attendance. But you can tell your team, look, I mean, there's a wedding, there's a funeral, I've got to be at this other thing that I can't control. There are times where you're going to miss things, but it shouldn't be the rule. Because if you're the head coach of the Ravens, which is still John Harbaugh, right? He can't miss training camp. John Harbaugh is at every meeting. Why? Because he's the head coach. Think of yourself as being John Harbaugh if you're a Ravens fan. Think of yourself as being, Tony Massimino if you're the Orioles. He doesn't miss a game. He's the head coach. He ain't playing anymore, nor is John Harbaugh. Are you thinking like a head coach? Now, I understand in the early days, you might think, I just want to get really good at the S quadrant. Okay, but if you ever want to be free and be a vice president, that's the vice president thing. I'm a vice president. We've got almost 50 licensed agents. It's not all on me anymore. Thank God. I got less pressure on me. All of life is instant decisions worked out over time. You never know when you'll have that moment where you make a bad decision. Most people's bad decisions, they don't make a decision to show up. They think, Gordon's not going to fire me. I'm not showing up. I'm like, okay, but I can't. It's hard for me to develop a relationship with you if I don't see you at every meeting. It's hard for me to figure out where the gaps are in your business. And especially when you start getting people to show up, because I want you with them. I love Beth here with Nicole. Beth's a superstar. Beth's an incredible leader in our company. And we got lucky to find Beth. I didn't make Beth. She's very nice about giving me some compliments. But crap, I didn't do anything to make Beth. Beth was a gift from God. I met her through somebody else and she landed in our business. But I choose to show up and I choose to kind of help lead trainings. And then now Beth's going to start doing the same. She shows up to everything. Everybody knows Beth. And she's emerging as the next potential RVP in our organization. The purpose is to showcase growth. How do you do that? You get people to show up with you. And then somebody else catches it and they go, Dadgummit. You know, it's like Destiny and Christy. I love to see them together. I love to see Destiny. I think so highly of Destiny. And I've met Christy now and I've spent time with her. Awesome people. I can see a nucleus beginning. You get two people, you know, they say you start by, but then you get a second person, 100% growth. That's a big deal. And then those people get a third. And then now you've got growth. So it's to showcase growth week to week to week. Meeting attendance is the litmus test. You set the standard, not your family and friends. Okay? You set the standard. My whole family and friends, they know what's important. They know. And it's some people, I always get it early on when I meet people. What do you mean Saturday mornings? You work Saturday mornings? I'm like, yeah, I have my own business. I don't work for somebody else. I choose Saturday mornings because I have access now to a lot of part-time people's schedule for an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. I'm going to spend time with them. If you have a higher calling, the pastor, the CEO, the head coach, they're thinking differently, guys. I go to my church. I don't hardly ever expect. I don't go to church and think, man, the pastor, is he going to be there? I know he's going to be there. Does that make sense? Why?
That's
Because
right. That's right, Gordon. Yep.
it's his daggum position. I don't. I know Christian shows up to our meetings, and he's in Arizona right now. So it's what is it, 6:50 in the morning, and he's on chemo. He pops his head in from time to time, and I don't ever know when. We all love him, man. We're sending him a message. Not everybody, but whoever wants to participate in that loves Christian and wants him to win this fight, and he's winning, you know. But he's our head coach. Have a higher calling, pastor, CEO, head coach. What's riskier? You tell me, guys, and this is a thought process. Is it riskier to earn 100% of your own efforts or 1% of 100 people's efforts? Which carries more risk? Anybody?
100% of your own.
100% off of
100% of your own efforts, Jamar, because if you get sick, if you get whatever, and something physically happens to you, your income is at risk. And yet 100% of the people get taught in the school system to go to, and we teach our kids, go to school, get good grades, go get a good job. It's the riskiest way to make a career for your future because you're going to get fired. You're going to get laid off. You're going to get downsized. You could get sick in your working career from 20 to 60 and 67. So your 40 to 50 years of work, you might not have your health. But if you can build a business as quickly as you can and leverage your time, that's how people get wealthy. Leveraged time. How do you get overpaid? Leveraged time. It's in real estate, the broker makes more money than the agent. Wesley Foster built a company called Wesley Foster, and he said most people will not do what I do because most people cannot handle, and he called it the blood on their hands, and that was the quitters, that was the whiners, that was the excuse makers,
That's right.
Prince.
That's right.
People can't handle getting messy, but business owners understand it gets messy.
It's messy. Yep.
It gets messy, man. People you meet, you love it, and then they quit. And you go, oh, I want to quit. Unfortunately, there are quitters in the world. We got to know that. Not everybody goes to the gym, comes out and looks like, you know, The Rock for men. Or not everybody comes into the gym and he comes out of the gym looking like some gymnast if they're all women, right? Most people stop and life is messy. So you just love on people. You keep showing up. And some people will get it. Is your attendance growing? Then you're growing. If not, you're not. Your income can grow and give you a false positive. I've had many false positives in my career. I've made, $25,000, $30,000 in a month, and my attendance didn't grow. But because I got good at the product mix, I can make a good living with just the product movement. But that's a false positive. That can be a head fake because it's hard to take that income to the 50,000 a month, to the 100,000 a month. That's potential. There's people in our business that make 200,000 a month. They don't do it on their own pin. So the false positive is, man, I can go out and write 10,000 in personal production and I can make money this month. You can. And making money is not always the indicator. Bruce calls it you can have the cash flow glow. The cash flow glow, but it's not an indicator always of the size of your business growth. Um, the phases of commitment. One, I might go to a meeting. Well, we'll see. I might go. Number two, you say, well, finally, I'm gonna go into the I'm gonna go. I'm there. You've started clearing the schedule in your calendar and saying, hey, I'm gonna make sure I'll make the meeting. And then it's like, I ain't gonna miss the daggum meeting. You got people showing up. You're getting excited. You're like, oh man, I'll try to get others to go. I'm gonna get more people to go. I'm gonna invite people. Christian was invited to a meeting and he didn't he gives no credit to the lady that invited him other than the credit of inviting him. And she stopped inviting because she didn't think he was going to do anything because he came into the business. Do you know Christian didn't take off from day one? It took him 5 years to get going in the business. Single guy, no kids, working in a mall, didn't believe in himself. And he showed up and he decided, I'm going to show up. And it wasn't until he got married and his wife was like, I don't know if this is a business or not, Christian. I don't know if you can do this or not, but if you don't do it, I ain't sticking around. I'll have others there. So I'm a promoter of meetings is the final step. Are you the Don King? Are you promoting events? Are you the promoter or do you need to be promoted? Are you the caller or do you need to be called? Does that make sense? I learned when I was talking to Jeff early on in my career, he was like, are you going to be the guy that I have to call every meeting before the meeting? Wake your butt up. He said a different word than that. Am I the guy? Am I going to have to call you and wake you up or get you to the meetings? And I didn't need to be motivated. I made more money than the guy that recruited me in business. When I got brought into the business, I was making 100K, but I didn't come in because my buddy brought me here. He wasn't making more than me, but Christian was. I met Christian and saw Christian, and I was like, I'm into that. I didn't get recruited because Jeff was making more than me. He was not. He never had. And I came in and I ended up getting promoted before he did. Okay? Still a good buddy of mine. So, step to promoting. Set expectations on the orientation when you're talking to people new in business. Just talk to them about twice a week. Show up for an hour, 2 hours. Why do you show up? Because you get better every time. Manage the process. Give them the reasons to be there, i.e., appointments. You've met with other clients. You might be sharing an example at the next meeting. I want your help in sharing that example. We've invited the people that we've met with. Everybody that I sit with and talk about the business, I always invite them to a Tuesday. I always invite them to show up to a meeting because I don't know what they might walk away with. And I've had people that I not would never look at my business, Hector, and they looked and they showed up to Tuesday and they became a teammate, right? I sat with Ellis early in his career, talked to him about the business, met with him and his wife, went to their home, and it was when the dime dropped at the home that he decided and he started showing up and he said, look, I can't get Ellis not to show up now. He shows up to everything, whether I show up or not. All right. And then you talk about the people that quit. And if you want and you think they're studs, you want to correct the average behavior. Average people do average things. If you see yourself above average, if you've had an above average life before, if you've done well where you were before, you'll do well here. And I was doing well where I was before, so I always thought I could do well here. I made a good income, but I was like, I can make a good income here. They're not better than me.
That's right, Glenn.
Meetings, and that's like you, Prince. You can look at your life as a doctor of oncology and say, man, I've got track records that show threads of success. I
That's right.
know Prince will be a huge RVP here because I can look at his past and say, dude, the dude became a doctor. He's in Texas right now. It's earlier in the morning. That dude can pay the price there. He can pay the price here.
That's right. Thank you, Glenn. Yep.
Meetings capture the heart and culture of leadership in the team. Capture the person's heart and you capture the person. Capture their desire and you capture them. It's not neutral. You can't come in and be neutral. You're either adding to the environment or you're taking away. It's like a thermostat. And you want to come into a room, every room you come into, you want to be the thermostat, not the thermometer. The thermometer takes the temperature. You want to come in with fired up attitude. You want to come in excited. I've never seen, when leaders show up in rooms, most of the time there's like a buzz. Oh, shh, shh. Oh, look who's come into the room. To do, be early, show up early, 10 minutes minimum. Be dressed up, cameras on. Be positive and proactive. I went to a U2 concert, just reminded me when I turned 50. I'm 58. So this was 8 years ago. Hector went down to DC. U2 came to town. I love U2. Not everybody does, but I did. And then during the concert, before the concert started, and I was just thinking about this, leaders come in and influence a room. And I'm not saying I'm a fan of this leader, but she is still a politician. Nancy Pelosi showed up and everybody was like, the camera went on her. She waved at everybody. She's a leader. She showed up into a room and it was thousands. When you show up into a small room, do you bring the energy? Okay. To do, be early, be dressed up, cameras on, be positive, never show up late, never bring negativity of any kind, not to a meeting. If you're negative, talk to your coach, talk to them about what's going on. If you're here and you're thinking, hey, I'm a district, I got to wrap up here, guys. District leaders, you got to be thinking, I got to get to 10 people showing up. These are just good rules. Divisions, 20, regionals, 30, RVPs, 50 plus. I'd say everybody here should do a head count before you get off and post it in the Telegram chat and say, hey, I'm a district, I had one or two. You should do that for your own purpose and for your growth purpose. And next week, when we're in person, I'm going to challenge you to grow by 100%. Can I have somebody read this real quick?
I am not judged by the number of times I fail, but by the number of times I succeed. And the number of times I succeed is in direct proportion to the number of times I can fail and keep trying.
Is that a good thing to have as your creed?
Absolutely.
Don't be judged by the number of times you fail. We all have failures. You're going to fail, but you're judged by the number of times you succeed, not the number of times you fail. And keep trying. That's the answer to success. Here's one more for you. I'll ask somebody to read this and then we'll wrap it up. Matt, you, or maybe somebody else, a lady?
I never see failure as failure, but only as a learning experience. I never see failure as failure, but only as the negative feedback I need to change course in my direction. I never see failure as failure, but only as the opportunity to develop my sense of humor. I never see failure as failure, but only as an opportunity to practice my techniques and perfect my performance. I never see failure as failure, but only as the game I must play to win.
Amen. Now, August the 9th, we got coming up next Saturday, guys. I want you to put that in your calendar. We got lunch provided at noon. You get a chance to get in person and get in front of the leaders in our business. That's in Gaithersburg. We'll post the address. So it's going to be a drive for a lot of us, but it's okay. And we're going to be around the best of the best. And Christian will be in town. And that Champions Creed and that attitude towards failure, those things are small things, but they're big things. Okay. I put those on my daughter's mirrors in their bathrooms and they memorize those things. I had my kids memorize attitude towards failure and success Champions Creed. I want people around me to memorize those types of things because our attitude and our activity is everything in life and
Everything, absolutely.
how you deal with objections. How do you deal with the small things? This business is a self-improvement business that's tied to a very high compensation.
Compensation, yeah.
Very high compensation, but you bring you. And if you've got threads of success, good. We're looking for you. We're looking for leaders. We're looking for people that want to build. Okay. Hope that helps, guys. What else we got? Allison, Hector?
I think that's it. Let's pump it out. I think, the other thing, you guys are all going to post your attendance today.
Please.
And for some of you guys, that's going to be one. And you need to not beat yourself up on that. The idea is, right, go from event to event. You take that out and make a commitment that no matter what, right, next week I'll definitely be here. Tuesday I'll definitely be here. But the idea is, can you double that? Right? Could you triple it? Could you bring just one person on Tuesday, right? Might they get excited and so forth, and to build it from event to event.
And I will say, Allison, I wasn't consistent. I showed up when I could. And every time I showed up, I was like, I'm getting better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning stuff. I would get audios. I would get this Champions Creed shared. I'm like, that's a good thing. That's a cool thing. And I'd get these little things. And I used to love when my sister years ago, she sent me these recordings of Anthony Robbins. I loved Anthony Robbins. I still love Anthony Robbins, you know? And self-improvement became a part of my life when I started showing up. And it'll become a part of your life. It's always about getting Jim Rohn changed my life. I think Jim Rohn changed Ellis's life. You know, Jim Rohn is powerful, one of the best business philosophers in the world, not our business, in business. So you'll get these concepts and you'll start changing.
The other thing I'd like to say, because like you mentioned Beth, right? I'm very excited about Beth. Beth shows up to everything. And because of that, we're really like reaching out to Beth to try to get her to do some of the Tuesday and talk and leadership. But I would say there's other leaders on here that are hiding behind their cameras
Yeah.
that have a lot of dynamic, they're strong, they're enthusiastic, they're excited, they're young. We want to put those people in front also, to be able, because you attract what's in front, right? So if you're out there, you know what you're doing, and you want to help create an environment, right, that's exciting, pumped up, young, growing, let's go, then, talk to your leader. Maybe we can start little bits and, get you in there too, so we can grow big. Yep.
Yeah.
Real quick before we go, I'm going to post this thing in the chat for Christian and see if it works. And that way it can save Shawnda trying to email it to everybody. Can somebody try to click this real quick?
Yeah, I'll click
And
it.
see if it works for you.
Bottom click. It looks like, yeah, it opened on my computer. So not my phone, but yes.
Okay. If anybody wants that, that's the link to Christian's thing. And then Shawnda can still email you if you need it. But I figured that might save her some emails.
Thank you, Matt.
And Deepak, again, brother, congratulations, man. Making $600,000 a year. You crossed over 600K. That's ridiculous, dude.
We need to make one of these for Deepak
Congratulations,
too.
Deepak.
We're gonna
How do
make
you
one
feel,
of these for
Deepak? Do you feel good?
Deepak.
Give me
Feeling
some.
good, man.
Tell him.
1 month.
I
It's
didn't know we
good.
really were gonna do
Good
that.
feeling.
Good feeling. Making 600K, dude. Can you think of, you look at America, Google it. What percentage of the population makes more than 600K? And you came in here making 20, 30,000 as a 7-Eleven worker, engineer, new to the country.
So 23,000 as an engineer and 5,500 in 7-Eleven.
And what you win
You're an
2
American
diamonds in the
success
last year?
story. You're a Primerican and American success story. And you did it all you, man. It was you. You get all the credit.
You guys, man. You guys motivated me for so long. Yep, good. Teamwork.
Great job, my friend. Great job. We got to get on.
Great job.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Have an awesome Saturday. Good to see everybody.
Thank you. You too.
Congratulations, Christy, getting your first recruit.
All
Woo!
right.
Have a great day, everybody.
All right. See you guys.